First responder garage here. Well, I got the pan back off and front of the engine supported. At any rate, so this is what I did, and this is why it has 150 PSI of oil pressure before it reliefs. See, when I port these oil pumps, I put a 41/64 freeze plug in it. So this actually pushes the spring tighter. So I'm going to have to take that apart, and what I'll do is I've got about 15 of these freeze plugs. I order it by the package, but anyways, I'll grind a slot into the freeze plug so it'll relieve some of that pressure, and hopefully that'll work. And what I'll do is I'll just temporarily put the pan on, and I'll go ahead and prime it. But ain't she looking spiffy, huh? This is what I had to make to use the Magnum thermostat, and I just tapped another hole into the intake, so everything will clear. I really wanted to get her in today, but I'm still waiting for UPS to drop off the flex plate, and that's where she is, so I'll get to it. So I just drilled a hole in it and knocked this chisel driver in it. There you go. Just like that. So if y'all been following along, and when you guys saw the honing of the oil pump, my original idea was to thread this and put a pipe plug in it, and then I would put a plunger against this spring and have it adjustable. That was my original idea. I'm still debating whether to do that or not. I mean, I've got another oil pump if it fails, but I don't know if I gotta. I mean, it's easy enough, but I don't know. I don't think I'll do it this go around, because No Name National is just around the corner. It's just delay if something goes wrong, so I'll just I guess I'll just put it back together the way it was and go from there. But still would have been nice to have an adjustment. So with that said, and another one of my ideas was, since, all right, this is getting a little too far out of the box, but after I'd have my adjustment there, I would have it on a hose going to the side of the oil pan, to where you just stick a screwdriver in there and adjust it, and the hose will guide it right into the oil pump. But that's a little far-fetched, and you really don't need that, but it was an idea at one point. I never did it. Well, not to this engine anyway, so. But yeah, all right. Till the next video, I suppose. All right, so slight change of plans. I've here's the freeze plugs that I use. So I was going to notch this, and then, you know, it would allow the cotter pin to slide through. But I'm going to try and knock it in backwards and just have the cotter pin keep it that way. So springs in there. I'm going to just knock it in like so, and I'm going to use the open side of the socket, so it puts more of it on the edges of the walls, the pressure on the edges of the walls, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I will get back with y'all. So after going through 3 freeze plugs trying to knock it in backwards, I even tried grinding the lip down. It didn't work, and I kind of thought it wouldn't, but I tried it anyways. So what I ended up doing was just doing one of those, and I think it'll work, because now remember when I put this freeze plug in, let's see if I can do this one-handed here. So when this freeze plug was in the oil pump for the relief valve, it was on the edge, okay? And I thought about grinding it. There's a little grind mark, and I was like, wait a second. I bet you I can just drill a hole through it. So essentially, I moved it, you know, probably a 1/16 from where it was, which is more close to the original flat one. So let's see what that does to oil pressure now. I'm going to put this in, and I'll probably just get a bottle and hold it up underneath there and prime the pump. But we'll see what that does. So 1/8 of an inch brought it up 50 PSI. I don't know. We'll find out. So I took off a little bit on this edge here and rolled this over, and also put this on the ground flat and hit this flat with a hammer. So now, see this, it has to go in that way. And the reason being is there's a lip in here, and that lip, it won't catch and it won't seal if you put it in like this, unless you countersink it and then put the cotter pin here on the edge. So this has to go in like so it'll seal that bore. I'm going to try and get this in. Alright, it's finally in there, and I used a 7/16 3/8 deep. Seems to be just the right size. So I'm going to see how much oil pressure it has. Alright, last time we had 150 PSI as a relief pressure, and I moved because the freeze plug was pushed in this way and the cotter pin was here. Now I have it in reverse and the cotter pin is here, and that's about 3/16 difference. So now we're going to find out what the oil pressure is now. So and it's the same weight oil it's the same oil that I had in there before. All right, so as you can see, now I'm at 80 PSI, which is good, and there's a lot less resistance on that drill. So that 3/16 went from 80 PSI, and you compress that spring 3/16 more, and it'll jump up to 150. So yeah, that's that. Well, I'm gonna button her back up, and that's that. I'm done with the oil pump. I'm going to turn the engine and you're going to prime it. So put your hand here. The further out, the more torque you can control. And don't lean on it, just try and keep it centered. Ready? Go for it. All the way. Spin it as fast as you can. Okay. That's it. Engine's primed. Ooh. You hear it?
That was one of the chicks.
All right.
It's not leaking? What's that going on the floor?
The oil pan is not.
Okay. That's what I am seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I still got to button up the oil pan and everything. But that's for another day. Thanks, hon.